Welcome to our class. Today we're going to be taking a look at Halasana or um, okay. So let's take a look at this pose in steps. We'll break it down, and we've talked a little bit about this when we had the class on shoulder stand, and we talked about the seventh cervical vertebrae coming out of the floor. And so we're going to take a look at that and how to practice halasana safely, how to use props so that we can do this plow pose, and also how to strengthen the back in the pose. So it's one of the best poses where you can use weights to strengthen the small muscles in the lower back. So we're going to go over that today. I hope you enjoy it and that you're able to follow along or do this at a later time. Okay, so we're going to start out just sitting in a comfortable pose and taking a deep breath here. And as always, especially in this pose, keeping the eyes, the ears, and the throat soft. So without adding any tension to eyes, ears, or throat, we proceed in this pose. So the first thing that I'll show you is we take a look here and we find the seventh cervical vertebrae here. It usually is the one that pokes out a little bit. So we want this to come in to the body and not touch the floor when you're in this pose. So to start out with, I'll show you how to do this using props, and then we'll do it, eventually once you get a little more flexibility on the neck, then you can do it on the mat. So it's a very good idea to do this with a teacher that can take a look at you and see how your neck is going, but usually no strain on the neck here. So I'm going to use a blanket, and these blankets are pretty firm blankets, and I'm folding two here, and I'm placing them on top of each other and very, very neatly stacked on each other here. Okay. So I'm going to measure the distance from my feet to the mat here, and right where my hips are, I'm going to put my blanket. Okay. So there we go. We have the blankets here, and this is the distance of my legs. And if when you lay on this that your neck still feels uncomfortable, you can add more blankets here to protect your neck. So okay, so step one, you're going to lay back on this blanket here, and you're going to line your shoulders with the edge of the blanket. Okay, and then you're going to make sure that once I'm here, I'm not going to turn my head. So if you have to turn to look at the screen, I would watch first and do it after, and make sure that your head stays just facing the ceiling and without having to move the head at all. Also, make sure that you don't hold your breath while you do this. So you're constantly breathing, you're softening the eyes, the ears, and the throat here, the tongue. So take a few breaths here. Okay, so if you have a chair, I'm going to use a chair. And you're going to grab the chair. So shoulders are lined up. I'm grabbing the chair, and I'm turning my hand around so that my palm is facing out to grab the chair. And I bring my hips up on the chair. So I breathe here. Move the chair back a little bit. And so here I can start sensing this idea that my vertebrae here is not touching the blanket. So it's coming out away from the floor. So I'm rolling my shoulders out and creating this space between the vertebrae and the floor. So I'm sucking the vertebrae into my body. Okay, and then come down and take a few breaths here. And again, so here, making sure that you don't flatten your neck, so you have a normal curvature of the neck here. Make sure that doesn't flatten into the floor, so you keep that curvature of the neck, and you keep the 7 cervical vertebrae away from the floor. So if that vertebrae is just really touching the floor, then you want to stop. So here, bringing the hips up. And then noticing, am I holding the breath? Do I have tension in the eyes, the ears, the throat? If you do, learn how to release it here. So release the belly, eyes, ears, throat. And here we are bringing the chest to the chin. So lifting the chest here. So this clavicle lifts up towards the head. So lift the chest, release the neck. Make sure you're not flattening the neck. And come down. So so come up and stay for a few minutes. It's not a good idea to come up and down too much. So come up once or twice and then stay there for a good minute where you're breathing, making sure that you're not accumulating any pressure in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. So if this is your first time, maybe you want to start, for a month, do this exercise on the chair with a blanket. Do it, for a minute, and maybe increase it to 2-3 minutes a day where you're discovering what's going on. And it's definitely okay to add more blankets. I can show you with more blankets. All right, so you can start here, even if your neck was very, very stiff and that was incredibly not, a comfortable thing to do. So you can add more blankets here. Or you can add, mats. And I'll show you. So come back to this place where I'm lining up the shoulders here, and I'm going to bring my chest up, keeping this curve of the neck from flattening into the floor or into your prop, making sure that that 7th cervical vertebrae is lifting up towards the body. Grab your chair, turn your hands, and come up one more time. So don't turn the head here. And breathe. And you may find that with more blankets, you're able to come up without injuring your neck. And release. And then turn to the right and come out. So take your time in coming out. So you start discovering where the tightnesses are in the neck, and what that relationship is between softening the eyes, ears, and throat, lifting the chest. So doing all those steps first. So maybe that's your first month of practice. And then you can proceed and go into plow pose. So now I'm going to give you a quick intro to plow pose and how you work with, bringing this vertebrae up and going into plow pose in a healthy way. So once that vertebrae comes to the floor, then you're putting your neck in danger, and then the pose is being done incorrectly. So that's the main focus of this video, is just to show the importance of doing this pose in that way. So we use the props just to stretch the neck and get ourselves ready to come to this pose without the blankets. But it's okay to do all of these things that we're going to do today with the blanket. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my chair here, and I'm going to, with my fingers back here, I am going to come here where I can start stretching the shoulder. And what I want to do here is I am thinking about lifting this. So I'm actually here in this case, I'm sinking this into my neck, my vertebrae here. So I come forward so that the elbows are touching the chair, and I roll my arms in. Okay, so I'm rolling in. When I roll my arms in, I lift my chest. Okay, and then roll the arms in. When I roll my arms in, I increase this length, and then I lift the chest, and I start bringing the 7th cervical in to the body, right? So it's not poking out, it's coming in. So we just work here, roll the arms in, lift the chest. Lift of the chest is like this. So it's this movement while this arm is turned in. So lift the chest. So come forward more and roll the arms in, press them into the chair, and then lift the chest, lift the chest, lift the chest. And if I roll my arms out, then I can bring that 7th cervical even more into, create more of that space there. So here's the work. We roll it in, lift the chest. Right here's chest collapsed. Lift the chest, roll the arms in. Then roll the arms out a bit, and we feel that softness in the 7th cervical. Lift the chest. Okay. So rest, and we'll do it one more time where we roll in and create that space. Lift the chest. Roll in, lift it. Okay. So come out of that, and hopefully we start creating this, just this softness here where we can really learn how to not poke the 7th cervical out. Same thing here. We can come back here, bring your fingers towards your feet, put them behind you. And we're going to do the same thing here, paying attention to the 7th cervical vertebrae. Okay, so hands back, lift here, and bring that 7th cervical into the body versus leaving it poking out and rounding the back. You're going to bring it up. So rotate the arms in, bring it up much more, rotate the arms, in here, bring that that 7th cervical in, now bring it in much more. So suck it in. Okay, so you can try that a few times. Doing this pose, releasing eyes, ears, and throat. So minimizing, really, there's a little bit of strength. So minimizing that tension. And then learning how to work this, this part where you can soften it and bring it into the body versus poking it out. So we'll do it one more time. Okay, so rotate the arms in. See if you can bring that in, and then rotate the arms out, bring it in much more. So I'm lifting the chest, but I'm also not ignoring the back of the body. I'm lifting this up towards there too. Okay. All right, so give those a few try. I would maybe, if you can pause the video and you can work on that where you learn how to lift that vertebrae. Okay. If you have a stick, have it handy. And if you need to use the blankets for this, that's fine. You can add a little bit of padding for your shoulders if you need the height, the neck feels too tight. Okay, and I'm going to use a block here to measure. So not a good idea to add any strain in the neck. So if your neck is really tight, spend a week or a month doing the first exercise that we worked on. And not only does it give you a lot more freedom in the neck, but it really starts opening up, this shoulder area. So it's a really good exercise to do. So come to the wall, and this we'll do it in trial and error. We'll need a few tries for this. So we start here where we put the block right around the hips here, feet on the wall. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to put my shoulders right where I place my block. Okay. Placing the shoulders around where the block was. I'm going to go into my plow pose. Okay. So breathe, and when you exhale, go into plow. And remember, here, don't turn your head. So make sure that you don't turn the head at any point while you're in this pose. Okay, so keeping the head straight, lifting the chest, breathing out, I come into plow pose. Okay, and I start noticing, is that 7th cervical going towards the floor? If it is, I have to add some more height. Okay. And I can't tell here, but my back should be perpendicular to the floor. So it shouldn't be leaning, it should be straight. Okay. So here I want to bring my sit bones to the wall. And I want to straighten my back. Lifting that 7th cervical. Okay, so if I don't reach the wall, if I'm just with my toes, then I can come a little closer. Just come out slowly, and then move a little bit back and see if that's better. So I can't tell, but the back should be at a kind of like at a right angle to the floor. Okay. Okay, so can I notice if I can lift that 7th cervical or not? Okay, so you might have to adjust a few times. Sometimes the hair gets stuck and then it's hard. Okay, so here we go. Okay. So here, when I'm clasping my hands, I know that I can lift that 7th cervical. And then I bring my hands here, making sure I'm not pulling the skin up. I keep my feet on the wall. And I can use a stick here to bring my back. And then the lumbar goes towards the wall. My buttocks go towards the wall, my feet. Really making sure that I don't have any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. Okay. And then I come down. Okay, so it's not the perfect pose to talk through instructions. So you want to go through those motions. So bring the feet to the wall, making sure that your chin is not coming down to the chest, but you're lifting the chest towards the chin. So that's number 1, soften the belly, eyes, ears, and throat. And then with the stick, bring the lumbar towards the wall. So that's, the practice for this plow pose. And you can start with the legs elevated and then I'll show you how to bring them down. But before we do that, I'll show you how to start strengthening the lower back with weights. Okay, so we'll show this and hopefully it comes out okay, but I'll use these weights. So you can get them at any Play It Again Sports or at a weights. It's nice because it has these handles that you can lift. This is 10 pounds, but you can use more. You can use, even 50 pounds if you have someone who knows what they're doing and they can put that weight on there for you. So I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so you're going to remember about the spots where you were. So around there. And we put a block and the weights on top of the block. If you have somebody to help you, they can just place that weight for you. If not, you have to learn how to do it yourself. So you come here, so put the weight on top of a block so that you can reach these little handles and pull the weight up. Okay, then you come into, you can just very carefully lay on top of that weight, making sure you're not hurting your back. Okay. So come in here. Okay, and coming into plow pose. And I'm a little bit too close to the wall here. So scooch back. Kind of a trial and error. Okay, so lifting this 7 cervical, making sure that's not coming down to the floor. I'm not flattening my neck into the floor here. I'm breathing, coming into my plow pose. I'm going to grab the weight, bring it up, okay, and put it up here. So if you're turning my thighs in to one another, I push the weight up. So push the weight up and towards the wall. Pushing the weight up more. And here, if I'm collapsing at the belly, I lift my belly. Okay. Okay. And then just taking a few breaths here before you get up. So that's the work of working the muscles in the lower back to add weight in this pose. Turn the thighs in and push the leg into the wall. So then lift the body there. And that's the practice. So I'll show you one more thing that you can do in plow pose. We're going to work here with our chair again. Okay. And I'm just going to give myself some space. So I'm going to go into plow pose, and this time I'm going to bring the legs to the floor. And I can walk my legs away from me as long as that 7th cervical vertebrae is not touching the mat. So once the back of the neck flattens and that 7th cervical is on the mat, then you should not walk any further. You should just come back and work on learning how to access it, lift it away from the floor, releasing any tension in the eyes, ears, or throat, and then you can walk your plow or your halasana further back, okay, and go deeper into the pose. So we'll see how far we can get here. Okay. So if your neck is still very tight, it's okay to use your blanket, a little bit of support underneath the shoulder to give you that space so that the neck isn't flattening on the floor. So come into your chair. And again, making sure that you don't turn your head either way here. So lift up on your chair. Okay, bringing the hands to the back and going to plow. Okay, so here, go into plow and you can walk your legs back a little. As long as the back is straight. So first straighten the back. Okay. So that's as far as I can go. And I don't know if you could see, but if I'm holding my breath, I probably, you can see the tension building up in my head. But if I am able to walk my feet out a little bit without my neck flattening, then I can keep walking. But then you notice that, I need a little bit more strength, be able to open the back, lift that 7 cervical, and then not flatten my neck as I walk back. So that would be the work to do that. So there is plow pose, Halasana. I'll also post a very quick study session that we have that explains this even better. So look out for that. I think that'll be really fun to take a look at and see us working with a master teacher and how we start learning this concept of bringing that 7th cervical away from the floor and practicing this pose safely. It's such a great pose. Really works all of your glands here in the neck. It's really a great pose to have in your practice. So I hope this helps. Send me any comments or questions, and we can start, improving our study from there together. So thank you for watching, and see you next Monday.